Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me here to speak at this presentation. My name is Ferdinand Bulmer. I'm Higher Education Manager at EIT RawMaterials. I'd want to apologize, first of all, because I am not a specialist or an expert either in geosciences or in mining, so please excuse me for my lack of knowledge there. But I will talk to you a little bit about mining, but mining for talent, because that's what we do at EIT RawMaterials Academy. I want to say just briefly also that MEITIM is a really important and strategic project for EIT RawMaterials. I think it really illustrates, it's a great example of how we are bringing together education with technology, with the raw materials sector, with entrepreneurship. So yeah, it's great that all of you are here to hear a little bit about that from Juan and colleagues. So as we have heard, the raw materials sector and the mining sector needs people with innovation and entrepreneurship skills, as well as technical expertise. So on this mining theme, what I'm going to talk to you about this morning, a little bit of background to EIT and EIT RawMaterials. I think it's important to understand the bigger picture, as Juan mentioned earlier. And then I'm going to take you through three of the tools that we're using to mine our entrepreneurial talent. So that's our master school and the RACE program, our entrepreneurship training program called Lab to Market, which is brand new, announcing today, and the HEI initiative, Capacity Building for Higher Education program, which is also launching a new call today. So lots of fresh news today from EIT RawMaterials. For those of you who are not familiar with the EIT, well, it can be a little complicated to understand. It's a network of a lot of organizations, and all of the organizations you're hearing from today are involved in some way or another. But essentially, EIT is a body of the European Union and exists to support Europe's ability to innovate by nurturing young entrepreneurial talent and supporting new ideas through its innovation communities, and EIT RawMaterials is one of those innovation communities. So essentially EIT powers, or I would prefer to say empowers, innovators and entrepreneurs to develop innovative solutions to global challenges. And none more important, I would say, as we're hearing from COP at the moment, of course, than climate change. What do we actually do? So there are three pathways that the EIT is following. One of those is student to entrepreneur, one of those is idea to product, and one of them is lab to customer. And of course, these are all fully interlinked. The EIT is also the first EU initiative that brings together the three sides of the knowledge triangle, being universities, being companies, and being research organizations. And the idea is to activate the skills and connections of each of those types of organization to drive forward entrepreneurship. And create this innovation that we need. I should say briefly that when I talk about entrepreneurship, it's not only about startups, it's also about entrepreneurial mindsets, entrepreneurial thinking, which can be just as important within large or medium-sized organizations as within startups. So before I get on to raw materials specifically, the EIT currently has 8 KICs, or knowledge and innovation communities. So we have communities focusing on climate, on digital transformation, on the food system, health, of course, energy, manufacturing, urban mobility. And as you can imagine, all of these themes also have a lot of connections between them. So we have a number of activities that we work on together called cross-KIC activities. And we're actually being joined by a 9th KIC next year, which will be EIT culture and creativity. So we're excited to see how culture and creativity can link in with raw materials, and I'm sure there will be some ways. Specifically, EIT RawMaterials, it is now the largest community or partnership in the raw materials sector across the world, with around 300 partners. Something else unique about EIT RawMaterials is it covers the full raw materials value chain. So we're not just talking about one part of the value chain, and we want to connect actors from different parts of the value chain, and that's the only way we're going to move towards a more circular economy, of course. We're active in around 22 countries across Europe. We have 16 locations as well, so the idea being that we can both drive the local innovation ecosystem, but also connect innovation ecosystems across Europe. So going on to our innovation themes, I mentioned we cover the full raw materials value chain. So we're looking at projects relating to exploration, relating to mining, processing, recycling, substitution, circular economy. And the way that we do this is we support projects in the areas of education, such as MEITIM, in the areas of upscaling, bringing new technologies to market, in the areas of networking, and of course also business creation and business support for entrepreneurship. Specifically education, MEITIM is of course an education project, and I think we have a number of students and university professors with us today. So what we are aiming to achieve specifically in education, first of all, we want to increase the quantity of highly skilled people who can lead the transformation of the European economy into a circular, neutral, climate neutral and digitized society, so providing the talent. Secondly, we want to empower entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is really, as I mentioned, the core of what we do. So we want to empower them to create the solutions that we need to solve societal challenges. And then thirdly, we believe that universities are really central to driving entrepreneurship across Europe. They have holds in every region, every community, and we want to increase the innovation capacity of universities in order that they can really support their local innovation ecosystems and also work between them to drive innovation all across Europe. So, as I mentioned earlier, I think our raw material at EIT RawMaterials is actually talent. And I adapted our value chain here to talk about how we could be looking at our value chain of talent. So we want to explore the world for the top students to join our programs. And all of our master's programs, for example, are really international. We have 50 to 60 nationalities at any one time. And we want to empower those individuals then to mine for their own talent. It's not really about us mining for our talent, of course. It's about you as a student mining and identifying your own talents. Then we mix it up. So that's our processing. We're developing a network of students, graduates, and entrepreneurs who are all connected and can feed off each other. And of course, we believe in recycling. So we provide a platform for our alumni, the students who have been previously involved in our projects, and professionals also who have been involved to stay engaged, to pass on their knowledge, to recycle those skills and that knowledge. Substitution, well, we want to substitute attitudes which said that scientists, which said that researchers can't do entrepreneurship. We want to substitute that with an entrepreneurial mindset to live into the future, and finally to then create a virtuous circle or maybe a circular economy of innovators and entrepreneurs and professionals. So that's how I'm trying to look at our value chain in terms of talent. So going back to our three aims, I'm going to present to you briefly three different tools that we're using. We have, I think, powerful tools, even though we don't have any drills or bulldozers, but we do have some powerful tools to drive entrepreneurship and skills development. So firstly, to provide highly skilled talent to industry and value chain stakeholders, our key tool for this is the EIT RawMaterials Academy, and very specifically as well our master school. We're really happy that MEITIM will be joining our master school as a EIT labeled master's program. Now, the EIT label is a quality seal which is awarded by the EIT, not by EIT RawMaterials, but the main EIT, the EU body, which demonstrates that education programs are very strong in combining technical knowledge with innovation and entrepreneurship skills. So we're aiming at 9 EIT labeled master's programs. At the moment we have 6. MEITIM will be our 7th, and then 2 more will be joining later this year, we hope, based on the outcome of the applications. These programs, which you will find on our website, I will give you some web links shortly, all include, as I mentioned, this deep technical knowledge with also an understanding of the full raw materials value chain, which is, of course, vital to be able to have an understanding of the sustainability issues involved. There's innovation and entrepreneurship training. There's great involvement of industry, so visits and internships within industry, because, of course, without involving industry, we're not going to be giving people the right talents that industry needs. Another important thing about these programs is that they're all international programs, so they're all taught in English. They all include study in multiple countries across Europe. And there's plenty of challenge-based learning included. So that means you're not only reading from a book, but you're learning by solving problems yourself. So if you're interested in a master's program, I do encourage you to find out more about the MEITIM and also the other programs that we offer as EIT RawMaterials with our university partners. One thing that's mentioned here on this screen is summer schools and boot camps. Well, I'm just going to give you a quick example of a summer school or boot camp that we offer as EIT RawMaterials, and this is something that's open to students on our labeled master's programs. This is called RACE. It's the Raw and Circular Economy Expedition. It takes place each summer, normally in different locations, and it's a 2-week challenge-based learning journey. It includes visits to industry. It includes working in groups to solve challenges. Lots of networking and hearing talks from experts from different parts of the raw materials value chain, from industry, from NGOs, for example, and then working together in a group to pitch your solution. And of course, there's lots of opportunities for companies to get involved in this as well. This year in RACE, which took place in August, we were lucky enough to visit Sweden and Finland, which I think was a fantastic experience for the students. So our responsible sourcing leg was a visit to LKAB iron ore mine in Kiruna. We visited Stena Recycling in the south of Sweden, the largest recycling center in the Nordics. We heard from 3 EIT RawMaterials startups in Oulu. And here in Finland, also, we visited VTT and GTK to visit a pilot plant at VTT, hear about the innovation projects that GTK are undertaking. So actually, we traveled entirely by road and rail to reduce carbon emissions. It was over 3,400 kilometers traveled. So it really was a race and an expedition. And the kind of skills that people we are building, you can see our race group from 2022 outside Aalto University, where it finished. So working on problem solving, working in teams, interdisciplinary teams. We have students from raw materials disciplines, from other engineering disciplines, from business and finance as well. Cross-cultural communication, we had over 40 nationalities just on this group. And then, of course, public speaking and pitching, which they all did at the end of the race. So if you're interested in joining RACE, that's going to be advertised for next year. It's open to master's students in science and technology and also business disciplines in European universities. And it's also open to PhD students to be team managers. So do keep a lookout. We're also always keen to get a lot of people involved. So secondly, this is a new project that we are launching as well called Lab to Market. And the idea, of course, is to empower entrepreneurs to transform knowledge into societal value, our second aim in education at EIT RawMaterials. So Lab to Market, I think you heard from Maria Jose before about the accelerator program that she and her team were involved in. Lab to Market is an entrepreneurship support program specifically designed for students and graduates of EIT-labeled master's programs, and also for PhD students and postdocs in European universities. And it's really a program which should bring you all the stage from developing your idea through to actually launching a startup. And this is a brand new program. It will start early next year. As I mentioned, we have 3 phases. So phase 1 is ideation. We can have a large group, up to 150 students joining the ideation phase. Then the startup development, those who actually develop into successful ideas with teams will work on developing their startup. And then the final phase, we're expecting between 5 and 15 startup teams to move into the incubation phase. What will you actually learn in Lab to Market? Well, design thinking. I think some of you have studied that already yesterday, so you would work on that. Knowledge of the raw materials sector needs, and you would produce your startup concept. For phase 2, working on business development, understanding product development and pitching, and creating your business plan, your pitch deck, and your product design. And then finally, if you move into the 3rd phase, getting onto slightly more technical areas of regulation and IP, financial modeling, And by the end of this, you should have a minimal viable product and a proof of concept. So this would all take around 8 to 9 months in total. It's designed to work alongside full-time work or studies, although of course if you do have more time to dedicate, this is also helpful. We also have support grants for students moving into or individuals moving into phase 3. So this can help you with your living expenses and other expenses whilst you are working on your startup. So that's, I think, an important help as well, especially for those who are not working. And at the end of the Lab to Market, we have a demo day where you'll be able to present your product, your startup, to entrepreneurs, to KIC partners, to investors of all types, and you would continue to receive support from EIT RawMaterials as you move forward with your startup. So we're hoping that maybe some label students or some PhDs and postdocs who are here listening might be interested in joining Lab to Market next year. Finally, the third aim in our education, as I mentioned, is to increase the capacity, the innovation capacity of universities across Europe. And to do that, we have a large project. It was launched by the EIT in 2021 as part of the strategic agenda, and it's called the HEI Initiative. Now, this until now, many of the KICs, the innovation communities, we've been working just with individual departments, EIT RawMaterials with geoscience departments, mining engineering departments, for example, but we haven't been working so much at the institutional level. So the idea of the HEI Initiative is to work really at the top level, the institutional level of universities, to help them, to empower them to transform into more innovative organizations, which can really boost innovation in their local ecosystem. And my apologies to this slide for those of you who have done presentation skills recently. I know we're not following any slide rules with this one. So I'll briefly show you a short video about the HEI Initiative, which I think can tell you a little bit better than I can. And then I'll explain to you the new call, which is launching, and then we'll be done.
The EIT's HEI Initiative, Innovation Capacity Building for Higher Education, will empower higher education institutions to become leading engines of innovation and create an entrepreneurial culture. Through the initiative, universities develop action plans and get the funding and support they need to bring them to life. Ongoing projects in the EIT HEI Initiatives community are implementing a diverse range of activities to support and encourage innovators. Participating organizations get access to the world's largest innovation ecosystem, the EIT's knowledge and innovation communities. Collaborate, co-create and partner with organizations from across Europe to improve innovation capacity and address regional needs. Change attitudes to ignite an entrepreneurial culture and modernize teaching and learning towards tackling societal challenges. The EIT HEI Initiatives community of projects already includes hundreds of academic and non-academic organizations from countries across Europe. You too can get involved. Join the EIT's HEI Initiative and unlock the innovation potential in your organization.
Okay, so today, fortuitously, is actually the launch of Call 3 in the HEI Initiative. So as it mentioned in the video, this is open not only to universities. Universities, of course, need to cooperate with other types of organizations, with companies, with startups, with public bodies, with NGOs. So we're inviting all of those types of organization to apply for funding to develop their innovation capacity. So each project would develop what we call an innovation vision action plan and then put it into action over the duration of the project. And there's funding on this call of up to 750,000 euros per project for really looking at institutional transformation of universities. So if you're involved in a university or a company that would like to look at how to increase the innovation capacity of universities in your region or your local innovation ecosystem, do check this out. It's launching today. there will be a lot of information going out soon as well. So just to finally round up, because I think we're pretty much out of time. Unfortunately, there's not really one great website which can easily lead you to all of these projects, because there are so many different projects listed on the EIT RawMaterials website. So I thought it would be useful just to give you the best websites to follow for each of these 3 activities that I've mentioned to you, or 4. So the Master School, with the 6, currently 6 and soon to be more Master's programs. The Race, which will launch again for 2023 next year. The Lab to Market program for entrepreneurship support for students and PhDs and postdocs, and then the HEI initiative launching today. And of course, you'd be very welcome to contact me about any of these as well. I hope you can join us on our mining mission to mine for talent, as well as for raw materials. So thank you very much for your time.